Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. First and foremost, before we jump into the vlog today, because we have a lot to go over, I just really wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who reached out. I was sick last week and I ended up on Thursday getting tested twice for COVID. First, I got the finger prick test, which come to find out has a high false negative rate. Because really what it is intended to do is to let you know if you have the antigens or the antibodies. It's not intended to tell you if you're currently infected. So that was a waste of time, a waste of 3 hours of my Thursday morning. So then I went and I did the nasal swab. I got my results back yesterday and I am negative for COVID. So thank you. It is a huge wake-up call too. I have been wearing my mask, sanitizing. It is definitely a huge wake-up call to continue being vigilant because we are going to get through this one day. And actually COVID, funnily enough, does play a part in our story today. Devin and Jihoon first made their appearance on season 1 of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way. And we saw that Devin was at the time 7 months pregnant with her and Jihoon's child, and that she was getting ready to give birth in the United States, but the eventual plan was them to relocate to South Korea to live as a family. One of the things I wanted to point out is that Devin, I believe at the time, was 22 years old, so she's very young. Her daughter Drusilla at the time, I believe, was around 2 years old. And Jihoon was 29 or 30 at the time when they first came on the scene on 90 Day Fiancé. So, and I want to do this as delicately as possible because I think there has been some valid criticisms of why are we attacking a child. I don't think a child should ever be attacked. It was not Drusilla's choice to be put on television. Not only though has she been put on television, but she's been the focal point, or one of the focal points, of not only Devin's Instagram, but also her YouTube channel, which she has over 100,000 subscribers. So in context, when you put your child out there, and certain behaviors are witnessed, people are going to talk. Now, Drusilla was seen kind of being a spirited child. She crawling around on tabletops. She's kind of laying down in the airport. Why don't I just show you? Here is a compilation of some of Drusilla's moments on the show.
That Drusilla's first impression is going to be bad just because she is a little on the wild side. She can only do well for about 10 minutes inside a place. We call it our 10-minute rule. because she has to sleep in the middle tonight.
Drusilla?
Yeah.
Tonight?
Yes.
Las Vegas first night tonight.
Yes.
Oh, what the hell? You know, Dad say good night kiss, and another room. Yeah,
Well, yeah, but she's never not slept with me.
every night.
Yes, every night.
Why?
I slept with my parents until I was 7.
Oh.
One of the things, and I'm going to go over in the second part, the actual interview that Devin did with John Yates and Monica. Obviously, a TV show, it's a reality show. While it's not scripted, there definitely is any opportunity they can edit things to look a certain way. Obviously, a toddler is not going to behave perfectly all the time. They're going to have tantrums. You know, my daughter is almost 15 months old and she's definitely coming into her own. And there's definitely moments that she shows her spirit. And that's just is what being a toddler is. Now, part of what I think went kind of outside the realm of quote unquote acceptable for people was the being on the countertops, the kind of just running wild with kind of no sense of control, the sleeping in bed until you're 7. Children need boundaries, and that I think is where people were coming from. It would appear, and this is gonna come into part of what I talk about later on throughout the vlog, is that there are children all across America that we're not here to diagnose Drusilla with anything. She seems to be a high energy kid. Maybe she has some sort of attention deficit issues, but it doesn't appear that any structure is in place in her life or intervention if she is suffering from any of those type things. All we are going on is what we see on the show. So while I completely agree with Devin that it's really unfair to judge a child, and it's definitely not okay to talk crap about a child, we can talk about parenting and what we don't see on TV. We don't see any intervention. We don't see any structure. We don't see any boundaries. And that's just a fact. One of the reasons why I wanted to mention Devin's age is at 22, you are still coming into your own. You're still very much a child yourself, in my opinion. So to have a 2-year-old daughter, be pregnant again, that's a lot. And I always commended Devin. I always felt like she had a sense of maturity about her that you don't really see in 22-year-olds. So I certainly wasn't that way at 22. So early on, when she was first on the show, I gave her a lot of credit, and I still do give her a lot of credit for being there and being there for her kids. While I have some criticisms of some of her parenting choices, I will say that she has shown up for her kids from what it looks like. Devin has a dramatic life. And we need to talk about that for a second. One of the big questions regarding them on their first season of The Other Way was, why wasn't Ji-hoon trying to come to the United States? Like, there isn't a travel ban or contentious relationship between the US and South Korea. So it would absolutely be possible, plausible, and maybe better for him to come to the United States, since Devin's parents, Drusilla's grandparents who had been raising her, were there. it just seemed maybe like it would be a better solution. Well, Devin went on to her YouTube channel and actually disclosed that one of the reasons why they made the decision to move to South Korea was because she had a very unstable aunt who actually tried to kidnap her and sell her into human trafficking. Not only does she have that history with her aunt, she also had a very, things came out about her ex, who's Drusilla's biological father, and it seemed like there was some dramatic domestic violence issues going on there. So she, I guess what we can say is probably has had a lot of drama in her life, and it's a lot to unpack. So a couple months ago, this kind of all kicked off online when blogger John Yates went into a comment section of someone, and I didn't screenshot or save it, so I apologize for that, but there was a comment made about Jihoon or defending Jihoon, and John took it upon himself to claim or allege in that comment that Jihoon's parents abused Drusilla, and that sent off a whole shitstorm. That's how this all got started. Subsequently from that, All About the Tea, which those are the two people who did the interview with Devin, released an article or a blog that stated that Drusilla and Jihoon were, or Drusilla, Devin and Jihoon were uninvited from the tell-all. And so that led to speculation, well, were they fired? Were they, you know, what's going on there? Now, the biggest point of contention is going to be the hair pulling incident. And we're going to have a lot to talk about. So stay tuned. There is going to be a second part to this series. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Just hang on.